we're geeks, and we meet a lot of people on different levels and so forth. So we need to be able to explain things on their level, not dumbing it down, but basically be able to talk with them about their pain points and their business and so forth, and see how our technology can help them achieve these goals and so forth. So that connection has helped me quite a lot. But also, just being on stage, being in front of clients and so forth. Having done that as an instructor, it's really helpful.
Got it. So regarding these incidents, help me walk through an incident where really kind of changed a certain perspective about cybersecurity. I mean, you mentioned about the initially you got through and then you understood about how these offensive security and how the defend mechanism work. Do you have any incident which really changed either the trajectory of your career as a cybersecurity, or really change the way how you look to the cybersecurity space?
I would say it's more of a common theme amongst many of these incidents that I've encountered. At least it's the same mistakes over and over again that people make, which cause these incidents. Again, they don't follow the basic hygiene rules and so forth. They don't protect themselves good enough, even though they actually know what the problem is. Somehow they don't really get through, right? I mean, it's basic things like enabling MFA. How many years have we said, please enable MFA? People still haven't done it, right? So, I mean, the five basic things like enable MFA, use least privilege, keep your devices up to date, and protect your data, have your endpoint protection. These five things could immensely help you protect your environment, right? I mean, I think someone actually made a study and found out that if you do these five things, 98% of all attacks would be useless in attacking your environment. So, I mean, it's five simple things. 98% protection.
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time in doing the complex things and give a pretty heavy discount to the fundamentals, which accounts for majority of our solutions. I mean, whether it's in cybersecurity or in general in life, we try to overcomplicate things. And thinking, I mean, that the simplicity is something which is well understood. So totally understand the point that certain things has to be done. Regarding these discussions with your customer, what do you think? How important is the probing skills, discovery, and I say human skills rather than soft skills, because it's more human, which is again something which we sometimes forget down the lane. So, what's your perspective around spending more time in discovery rather than getting to solution mode?
I mean, it's very critical to have that part, because I mean, in order to be good at it, at least in my humble opinion, you need empathy, and you need a certain curiosity to be able to understand the client and what they want to achieve and how their environment is, and all of these things, right? In order to basically be the best advisor that you can be. Because are you going to help them achieve what they want, or what they need. It's two different things, right? Hopefully it is the same, but it's not always the case. So it's sort of trying to figure that part out and taking it from there. So usually we dive straight into solution mode. If you take most of us, and we would just go, oh, you have a problem, we'll solve it with XYZ. We have this product and that product, and go do this. But we might not actually have understood what the actual pain point is. I mean, the client might not even have understood what the pain point is, right? Again, if you take the 5 points I just mentioned about protecting your environment, that's not what people come to us for, right? They want an AI solution that can do all sorts of crazy things and so forth. And when we tell them that, yeah, but you need these basic things, and they're like, wait, what? Where's the silver bullet? Where's that cool tool that I need?
Yeah, that's so true, and I think that's what it boils down that to. Some of the things which I always recommend to other folks as well is that when we reach out to the customers, as you rightly mentioned, empathy is so much important. Apart from that, you also have to ask and reach out to understand the real challenge, because sometimes customers think that the problem is X. However, if we spend enough time, we get to know that the real problem was Y. So in that scenarios, you really get to the bottom and the fundamentals. And again, everything is based on if your fundamentals are strong. And as a human being, we have an urge, and this is something across the technology. What I have seen, that once we become an expert, or we say would be experts or wannabe experts out there, we think that we know everything, or even if we have a bit of, I would say, a consideration about, no, we are here to learn as well. Still, there's an urge, as you mentioned before, of getting to a solution mode. So that is so important to take a step back and just think about that. Am I being curious more? Have I asked all the questions, or before jumping into the solution mode? So that's so important. Let's take a turn and talk about your Microsoft journey so far. I know that you've been in Microsoft for some time now. So how you end up getting into Microsoft? Is it something you always tried, or is there any interesting story around it?
I don't know if it's interesting, but no, I can't say that I always wanted to join Microsoft and so worked for it for the last 2 decades to get here. It was by chance, basically, because I mean, if you look at my journey, basically I started with the Commodore 64, right? So straight from that, I went to a Mac. Mm-hmm. And I still have a Mac at home, and that's what I use basically. Mm-hmm. But when I started to dive into cybersecurity, I mean, I started to get noticed. I started to get a lot of attention and so forth on LinkedIn, especially, and then at some point, some headhunter pinged me and from Barcelona, I think, and I'm like, no way. I mean, this is just a scam, usual scam, blah blah blah. I'm not fit for Microsoft. I mean, come on, this is not real. Mm-hmm. But it turned out to be. So that's basically how I got into Microsoft. And I mean, I was shivering the first day I was at Microsoft, right? I mean, the imposter syndrome is real, and it still is to date. I mean, I still have days where I have the same feelings and so forth. Keeps me on my toes. So it's not all bad.
Yes. I think, you mentioned it right about the imposter syndrome, and so what do you suggest? I mean, as you know, that imposter syndrome is real, and there are a lot of people within the organizations and outside as well try to educate people how to, I would say, reduce or lack of better word, because overcoming is difficult. We are human beings, so we always have a certain level of self-doubt as well. So in that terms, what's your perspective, or how would you reduce your imposter syndrome up to a certain level, which is not a hindrance in your work? What do you do basically in that case?
Basically, I mean, the key point is just accepting that you don't know everything. I mean, and nobody does. And as long as you do your best, you'll do just fine. I mean, that's been the key thing I see around me, because I mean, my colleagues everywhere. I mean, there's very smart people, right? And I'm in the same room as them. So I mean, it's sort of like, okay, what am I doing here? But they have a huge amount of knowledge that they've spent years to gather, and I've done the same thing. We don't have the same knowledge necessarily, so we can help each other out, and so forth. And that's the great thing about this, right? Because we can come together as a team and sort of do something about this imposter syndrome. Because as a team, there is no imposter syndrome.
And no man is island. So, which I personally believe that you cannot achieve something when you're alone. I mean, what there's a saying, right? If you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, go with everyone. Let's go towards the conclusion part of that of today's discussion. If the people who are viewing this podcast would like to have some key takeaways from our discussion, if you wear your teacher's hat, what kind of guidance would you give to those aspirants and those colleagues out there?
Yeah. So the key thing is, don't worry too much about whether or not you're good enough. I mean, you'll get there at some point. The key thing is, do you actually want to be good enough, or to be able to do something like this? Because again, we don't know everything. Just focus on what you know, and you'll do just fine. And keep being curious, and just go for it, basically. And basically, you have a great team around you. I mean, not just locally, but globally, that you can always reach out to. There's always someone out there who can help you. I mean, so you're never really alone in this, right? And don't just wait for that perfect moment where you have all the certifications in place and all the accreditations in place, and it's just perfect, right? It just doesn't happen. Just do it. That's basically the best advice I would say.
That's great. I think the two great points, again, just to reiterate what you mentioned, so that if people would like to keep those things in mind, as you mentioned, that there's always someone out there who can help you in any perspective you are looking for. So please reach out to the people. You never know, you get surprises, positive surprises in that terms. And the other thing is, obviously no one knows everything out there, so you really have to be curious. Reach out to the people, which we already covered, but be curious and understand the other person's perspective, to be in a vulnerable situation, which again expand your comfort level as you go along. So that being said, Hasan Rahman, it was a pleasure talking to you today, and the mindset and the stories that you shared today. Looking forward for some more interactions and further success to our project as well. Have a great one.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Yeah.